Stop frying your brain. You're not broken. Your brain's just fried. It's time you take it back. You're not unmotivated. You're just drowning in noise, numbing out, and calling it rest. Let's cut to the chase. Your lack of motivation isn't a character flaw. It's a symptom of a hijacked nervous system that's been overstimulated, overwhelmed, and understimulated and all at the same time. Do you feel mentally exhausted even when you haven't done anything productive? Do you reach for your phone the second you feel bored or uncomfortable? Do you wonder why you can't focus on important tasks but can scroll for hours without losing attention? You've been lied to about what's wrong with you. You're not broken, lazy, or lacking willpower. You're experiencing dopamine debt, attention fragmentation, and nervous system dysregulation from living in a world designed to fracture your focus. Today, we're diagnosing the real problem behind your motivation crisis and giving you the tools to unfry your brain. We're covering 5 reality checks. First, understanding dopamine debt and how your brain got hijacked. Second, recognizing that your focus isn't dead. It's just buried under overstimulation. Third, practical microfasts to start reclaiming your attention. Fourth, building rituals that reset instead of distract. And fifth, why discipline starts with controlling what you let into your head. 1. You're not lazy. You're in dopamine debt. Here's what's really happening. You're not unmotivated. You're in dopamine debt. TikTok, doom scrolling, constant notifications, endless content consumption. Your brain's reward system has been hijacked by companies that profit from your distraction. Dopamine is your brain's motivation chemical. It's what drives you to pursue goals, take action, and feel satisfied by achievement. But here's the problem. Modern technology delivers instant, easy dopamine hits that make normal activities feel boring and unrewarding by comparison. When you get dopamine from scrolling, gaming, or binge watching, you're borrowing motivation from future activities. It's like spending tomorrow's paycheck today. Your brain starts to expect that level of stimulation for everything, which makes regular tasks like work, exercise, or meaningful conversations feel impossibly difficult and unrewarding. Think about it. After spending 2 hours on social media, does the idea of reading a book, having a deep conversation, or working on a project feel appealing? Probably not. Your dopamine receptors are flooded and desensitized. You've trained your brain to expect constant novelty and instant gratification. This isn't a moral failing. It's a biological response to an environment that wasn't designed for human well-being. Your brain evolved to seek stimulation and reward, but it evolved in a world where stimulation was scarce and had to be earned through effort. Now you're drowning in artificial stimulation that requires no effort and provide no real satisfaction. The solution isn't more willpower. It's understanding that your motivation system has been compromised and needs time to recalibrate. You have to give your dopamine receptors time to reset by reducing artificial stimulation and reintroducing natural sources of satisfaction. 2. Focus isn't dead. It's just buried under overstimulation. Your attention span didn't vanish overnight. You just haven't protected it. Focus is like a muscle. When you don't use it intentionally, it atrophies. When you constantly switch between tasks, apps, and inputs, you train your brain to be distractible instead of concentrated. Every time you check your phone while working, every time you open a new tab while reading, every time you listen to a podcast while doing another task, you're practicing divided attention. And whatever you practice, you get better at. You've accidentally become an expert at being distracted. But here's the good news. Focus can be rebuilt. Your brain has neuroplasticity, which means it can form new neural pathways at any age. You can retrain your attention just like you can retrain your body, but it requires the same thing physical training requires: consistent practice and progressive overload. The problem is that most people try to go from scattered to laser-focused overnight. They set unrealistic expectations, fail immediately, and conclude that they just can't focus. But you wouldn't expect to deadlift 300 pounds if you haven't been to the gym in years. Building focus works the same way. You start small and gradually increase the challenge. Cal Newport, author of Deep Work, says, "Clarity about what matters provides clarity about what does not. When you're clear about what deserves your attention, it becomes easier to say no to what doesn't." The problem isn't that you can't focus. It's that you're trying to focus on everything at once. Your brain craves simplicity and singular focus, but you're feeding it complexity and constant switching. Stop expecting your brain to perform optimally in suboptimal conditions. Start creating conditions that support sustained attention instead of fragments it. 3. Take your brain back. Start with micro fasts. The path back to mental clarity starts with small experiments in sensory deprivation. You don't need a week-long digital detox. You need consistent microfasts that reset your nervous system and retrain your attention. Start with 30 minutes of no-input mornings. Before you check your phone, read the news, listen to a podcast, or consume any external content, give your brain 30 minutes of silence. This allows your mind to generate its own thoughts instead of immediately reacting to other people's thoughts. Try no-phone meals. Eat one meal per day without any digital input. No scrolling, no videos, no music. Just you and your food. This simple practice helps you reconnect with your body's signals, improves digestion, and trains your brain to be present instead of constantly seeking external stimulation. Take one silent walk per day. No podcasts, no music, no phone calls, just walking and observing. This is where creativity happens, where problems get solved, where you remember who you are underneath all the noise. Boredom is where your best ideas live, but you keep avoiding boredom with constant entertainment. Watch what returns when you create these pockets of emptiness. You might notice that you start having original thoughts again. You might find that problems you've been struggling with suddenly have obvious solutions. You might discover that you actually enjoy your own company when you're not constantly comparing yourself to people on the internet. These microfasts work because they interrupt the constant input cycle without requiring dramatic lifestyle changes. They're sustainable experiments that help you rediscover what silence and focus feel like. 4. Create rituals that reset you, not distract you. The goal isn't to eliminate all stimulation. It's to replace artificial stimulation with activities that actually restore your nervous system. Build rituals around breathwork, journaling, cold exposure, and intentional silence. These activities challenge you without overstimulating you. Breathwork is like a reset button for your nervous system. When you control your breathing, you signal to your brain that you're safe and can shift from reactive mode to responsive mode. Try box breathing or the physiological sigh when you feel scattered or overwhelmed. Journaling helps you process thoughts instead of accumulating them. When your mind is full of unprocessed information, it can't focus on new tasks. 3 pages of stream of consciousness writing each morning clears mental clutter and creates space for clarity. Cold exposure, whether through cold showers, ice baths, or simply washing your face with cold water, activates your sympathetic nervous system in a controlled way. This builds resilience and teaches your brain that discomfort is temporary and manageable. Intentional silence is perhaps the most powerful practice. Sit quietly for 10 to 20 minutes without any agenda except being present. This isn't meditation with specific techniques. It's just practicing being with yourself without external input. Boredom is your power source, but you have to learn to tolerate it before you can use it. These activities restore your brain's natural rhythms instead of disrupting them. They provide stimulation that comes from within instead of from external sources. They remind your nervous system what calm alertness feels like. 5. Discipline isn't about hustle. It starts with controlling what you let into your head. Here's the fundamental shift. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to do more. It's about being selective about what you allow into your mental space. You can't build focus while consuming chaos. You can't create clarity while drowning in information. Every notification, every news alert, every social media scroll is someone else deciding what deserves your attention. When you allow unrestricted access to your mental space, you give away your power to direct your own thoughts and energy. Start treating your attention like the valuable resource it is. Just like you wouldn't let strangers rummage through your house, don't let every app and platform rummage through your brain. Curate your inputs as carefully as you curate your appearance. This means turning off non-essential notifications. It means unfollowing accounts that make you feel worse about yourself or the world. It means choosing what to consume instead of passively consuming whatever the algorithm feeds you. It also means scheduling specific times for information consumption instead of constantly grazing on content throughout the day. Check email twice a day instead of 20 times. Read news once a day instead of constantly. Consume social media intentionally instead of compulsively. The goal is to shift from reactive consumption to intentional curation. When you control what goes into your brain, you can control what comes out of it. When you protect your mental environment, you can think clearly enough to make decisions that align with your actual values instead of just reacting to whatever stimulus is loudest. All right, time for some tough love. No sugarcoating. You keep blaming burnout, but refuse to unplug. You say you want clarity, but won't sit in silence for 5 minutes. You can't build your future on a fried circuit. You complain about not having motivation, then immediately pick up your phone to escape the discomfort of not being entertained. You want to be more productive, but you won't stop consuming content about productivity long enough to actually be productive. You're not tired from doing too much. You're tired from doing nothing meaningful while being constantly stimulated by meaningless input. You're not overwhelmed by your responsibilities. You're overwhelmed by your inability to focus on them because your brain is scattered across 17 different apps. Stop treating symptoms and start addressing causes. Your motivation problem is an attention problem. Your attention problem is an input problem. Your input problem is a boundary problem. You can't think clearly while consuming chaos. You can't create value while constantly consuming other people's content. You can't build anything meaningful while your brain is fragmented by digital distraction. The solution isn't another productivity app or motivation video. The solution is silence, stillness, and the courage to be alone with your own thoughts long enough to remember what you actually want to create with your life. Now here's your challenge for today. Go tech-free for 1 hour. Delete one app today. Sit in stillness for 10 minutes without any agenda except being present. Stop escaping your own life and start rewiring it. One boring, powerful moment at a time. Your brain is waiting for you to give it space to think, create, and remember who you are underneath all the noise. Your future self is counting on you to unfry your circuits and reclaim your focus. Start today.